Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, TowManG, and as usual, I am joined by my friend, co-host, and former co-worker, the one chain wonder himself, Mr. PlainGuy.
I love that introduction every time. Every time I love that introduction, G.
That's good.
The one chain wonder. I'm your friend. I'm so happy I'm your friend.
Yeah, we're Facebook friends at least.
This show wouldn't be possible if we weren't friends.
Oh.
The amount that we disagree, beat up on each other, and just the good fun we have, I don't think it would work right if we...
Well, it would. It's just people wouldn't know that we're actually being serious.
Oh, wait, we're supposed to be serious?
I thought we were serious.
Cut!
I've always been serious.
I still can't believe that we put this stuff out on the internet and people actually listen to it. That's how serious it is.
Yeah, this is true.
As usual, guys, before we get into this amazing episode, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to us. You can visit our website, towinglife.ca. There's a contact us form. You can stay anonymous. We love hearing from you guys. You can follow us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. We have almost daily posts going out. We've got a lot of weekend warriors, light duty warriors. You'll see one behind us. Weekend warrior from the past week. Submitted this time by Mr. George Dajna himself. We appreciate the photos as usual. Don't forget to see the post, comment your photos, do your best. You can be involved as well. You can email us directly at thetowinglife@gmail.com. It's always appreciated, guys. We love reaching out to you. Again, this week, as usual, we can't do this without the support of the listeners, the support of companies that support us. Baker Heavy Towing out of Cambridge, Ontario. Cornwall Towing out of Cornwall, Ontario. We appreciate both of you guys. And let's get on with the show, G. What do you say?
Oh, well, I'm wearing this nice shirt, which I made the mistake of putting something on with a green screen
Right.
on behind me. Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Now, if only I put in enough thought into what I was going to wear to this podcast as I did when I go out towing. And to be honest, I don't put much thought into what I wear when I go out towing either, but most of my towing shirts are green, so I probably would have been screwed anyways with my green screen right behind me.
I've thought about that. I've thought about trying to wear a work shirt. It doesn't work out. I get all blended in with this beautiful poster behind me. It's something. Welcome to, Confessions of a Content Creator, where these are all things that actually matter. You have to think of colors. You have to think, especially when you're doing anything video, because it will show up. Your shirt confuses the hell out of me because it's the red-green show for anyone that's listening. And the red is green and the green is red, and it's having my brain have moments.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
If women don't find you handsome, they better find you handy.
That's what it says on the back of the shirt.
In that case, G, you were screwed.
I know.
They will find you neither.
Well, unless their car breaks down, then I'm handy in that situation.
So what you're saying is your dating profile says looking for woman with unreliable car.
Yes.
The only way I can be of use to you is if you have an unreliable car.
And preferably if it's front-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive drivers need not apply. Ladies, if you are listening and looking for a great man and you drive a front-wheel drive piece of shit, you can find TowManG on Facebook and over at his YouTube channel. Reach out to him. He's looking.
Yes, but speaking about clothing, what about work uniforms? How many of you guys out there have uniforms? I know where I work currently, we have a uniform company that comes in and drops off uniforms once a week. And if you decide to take your dirty laundry to work, they'll even clean it for you as long as there is no shit stains in it.
Wait, they'll wash your personal clothes?
No, like the work uniforms.
Oh, okay. Like, okay, that's pretty standard. I thought you were talking about, like, if you bring your dirty laundry, like your regular jeans in, they're going to wash them. I was like, oh.
Oh, I'm talking about like your dirty work stuff.
That is, I'm going to come off as very sexist for that, but, great that you have a company for it. I have a wife. We actually have the washing machine running as we speak.
Yeah, I wash all my own uniforms.
They just supply them kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, for me, living away from it, there's no sense of me dropping off 2 or 3 of my uniforms and waiting a week to get them back. If I do get them back within a week, I'd rather just wash them when I can at home. But it's definitely there. Now, the thing with these uniforms is I really like the pants.
Right.
The pants are really nice, but the shirts I do not like because they have the high-vis strip on the short sleeve arm right here. I'll do it on this arm so you can see. So if you're a sweaty motherfucker like I am, and you go to wipe that sweat off the brow, you are getting a nice sharp edge all across your foreheads of reflective tape. So I don't wear those too often, but it's nice. It's got the logo on the one side, your name on the other. It looks like a mechanic's shirt, and it's got a little pen holder and 2 breast pockets, which I'm a big fan of breast pockets.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's important, right? Uniforms definitely add a certain level of professionalism. My concern that I have is the more that we see on social media, and, welcome to the world of social media where you can find examples of anything, is we see a lot of people who don't even wear reflective clothing, whether it be repo people, whether it be, I watched a video of a guy talking about, slow down, move over laws, and he's up against a barrier on a highway, I'm guessing somewhere in the States, judging by the looks of it. And he's not even, he's wearing jeans and a black t-shirt. And I'm all for being comfortable when you work, but come on, man. How can you sit there and criticize slow down, move over laws when we've talked about this before? You can't even take the necessary precautions with yourself. You can't even, take the time to wear a reflective shirt or some reflective pants or anything like that, right? That is a big, big problem in the industry.
It is. And I know for myself, on a day-to-day basis, I wear the company pants, which have 2 strips around the legs, and I normally wear a bright yellow shirt. Now, there is no reflective tape on the bright yellow shirt, so do with that as you will. But it's just what I normally wear. It's bright, and my legs are reflective. And I don't normally do too much work after dark as it is right now. So,
must be nice.
Am I legal to step out of my truck on the highway? No. Has anyone hit me on the highway yet? No, I'm sitting here right now. So far, so good. Knock on wood.
Yet being the key word to all of those things.
Yet. Yes. And you know just as well as I, if one of us does get hit on the side of the road, it'll probably get pegged on us being our fault because we didn't put out proper cones or proper signage or whatever the case may be. And if you're not wearing steel-toed boots, like I know a lot of people don't, I'm an avid believer of wearing steel-toed boots. I know a lot of people that don't. I personally like to kick in my slides or kick things instead of bending over and using my hands, so it saves my back a little bit. My toes might not thank me, but my back sure does. And it's just little things like that.
I'll bring it to the next level and say that it's not only steel-toe boots. I'm an avid believer in high-cut boots. Yep. And the reason I say that, steel-toe is a mandatory. If you, I don't know. I've definitely hooked up a car in my personal time where I was wearing some shoes. But, I mean, you gotta, you gotta at least have steel toes. But the high cut, we're in and out of ditches. You get out of your truck on the side of the road. I don't know how many times I've rolled ankles, and my boot is probably the only thing that saved me from breaking that ankle. I've had some nasty step out of the truck, roll, hit a pothole the right way, roll the ankle, and I thought for sure I broke something. And I truly believe the tight-tied, high-cut boot is what saves you. We have enough shit to deal with every day. Why even take a chance with running shoes? Why not do yourself a favor and at least wear a shirt? Even if it's not a company logoed shirt, these mechanic shirts you talk about, full uniform, it definitely adds to professionalism, but something to add a little bit of visibility to yourself, right? I don't understand companies that don't do it. I don't think, you can blame the drivers and you can blame the companies. And what I mean by that is the companies have to enforce some sort of uniform policy. If they're not, they are equally as responsible for this problem. But the drivers have to be smart enough to know to, do what you can to protect yourself. It's not all just about throwing out pylons and everything else. Little things that you can do to protect yourself, like having a reflective shirt. The company doesn't have to supply it. You are protecting yourself. If the company supplies it and the uniforms, like I said, we want to be respected as individuals, as companies, then great. The uniform is definitely the best route to go. I understand that might not be a reality that you can, not every company can either afford to do it, has the resources to do it, whatever it may be. But take the little steps. At least have a uniform policy in your company to avoid people running around in wife beaters or black t-shirts and jeans. Help yourselves, right?
I work for a company, and working out in the boonies, let's say, I left this house to step behind the wheel of a tow truck wearing jeans and a plaid shirt or a plaid jacket more often than I would like to admit. But where I'm coming from with this is the company that I worked with, there was no pride. It was just get out there and get it done. When I took control of the tow truck at first, the guy giving me the tow truck said, I don't give a fuck what you do with it. Just keep it on the road. So
that's some pride in the company right there.
Yeah. And it got to the point where I was like, why should I give a fuck if the higher ups in the company don't give a fuck? Right? So why don't I just stroll out of my house wearing my Keswick dinner jacket or whatever plaid jacket the next town over, you always call it their dinner jacket, right? So the Keswick dinner jacket, which is just a plaid shirt, and some fucking jeans. Put on my work boots and away I go. Do I look professional? No, but I'm showing up in a tow truck. So obviously I'm here to do a job, right? And I can see where a lot of guys get that mentality from. And it's a bad mentality to be in. It took me a long time to get out of that mentality with the next company I work for.
Wait. Are you saying mentality?
Mentality.
What is it?
Mentality.
One more time.
Mentality.
It's mentality. It's not mentality.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's like mansplaining. I am mansplaining you how to pronounce a word right now.
But
all right, sorry, continue.
It's a bad thing. It's a bad rut to get yourself into because it's very hard to get out of.
Right.
And when you're in that rut, you don't really care, right? Mm-hmm. You're just there to do the job and you get the job done.
Yep.
But the problem is when you're doing that, you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting your company at risk, and you're not sending a good message to your owners, the customers, anyone you meet, even the police, if you're meeting them. If you look at the police department, fire department, paramedics, what do they all wear? They all wear the exact same thing, and they all wear
pretty close variations.
Thing. Yeah, for a reason, right? They all have their uniform, and it's there for a reason to protect them, to give them the tools they need to do their job in that time.
And to be easily identified at the scene, meaning when the cop is trying to find a firefighter at a scene of an accident for a road closure, it's very similar. It's very easy to find out who the, fire guy is. Look for the guy wearing the firefighter outfit. When the, same thing with looking for the police. How hard would it be on scene? You just sit there with reflective. I have an idea because we're the only guys that look like we don't belong at the scene half the time. But, you want to be easily identified so that customer knows, hey, that guy's the tow truck driver. The police know, hey, that guy's the tow truck driver. Not, hey, we have, guys that follow scenes and come around with a camera, right? And they normally will wear the reflective gear as well, just to protect themselves because they are out, in traffic. And normally they'll say media or something on them. They that's the camera guy. Hey, he's holding a camera and, why can't we have that same opportunity? You should know who the tow guy is. We don't have to advertise it because we're gods, but at the same time, police, fire, and all that, you want to know who the tow guy is. The customer needs to know who the tow guy is so that we can set that up.
Yeah, and the clothing that you wear can just get that information out there without the need to hand someone a business card or introduce yourself. It's pick you out from a crowd from across the highway when it's dark out, right? Just from how you look.
Can you imagine pulling up on a little old lady, 1 o'clock in the morning, not even that late, it could be 10 o'clock at night. And yes, you have the truck that's there, but you get out, jeans, t-shirt, running shoes. Hi, ma'am, I'm here to help you. The hell you mean you're here to help me? You know what I mean? Like, Pop gets out of his car, and I'm not saying we have to hit the same standards as they do, but let's try and get a little bit closer, right? It bugs me.
The industry is completely different depending on where you go. The further north you get, you probably know the guy who's showing up in the tow truck because it's a small town.
Yeah, he's probably your cousin.
Yeah, probably a cousin. He owns the local shop or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So once you get out of the GTA and off the highways, it becomes a little bit more lax because you know more people. But
Agreed.
for the people that deal with the public that you aren't aware who they are, like you don't know their first name, they don't know yours, it's better to set that first impression looking professional.
Absolutely. I had a customer the other day. I went to tow a vehicle, and we got talking, and they said, yeah, I know there was a truck here yesterday. What truck was it? Like, do you know what the company was? No idea. Do you know what the guy's name was? No idea. Huh. You know, now customers aren't always going to pay attention to this stuff either, but that's where a professional, you know, people ask you, hey, what's your name? So I can, you know, whether you want to leave a review, anything like that. We talked about reviews last week. You know, knowing, you know, just your name, having your name on your shirt, it adds that personal level with them. It adds a connection with them. It definitely gives them a better sense of safety and professionalism.
I know I'm bad for it, but when I show up on scene and get out and don't shake their hands anymore because of, you know, but
the C word.
Yeah, I do a horrible job in introducing myself in person, but on the phone, anytime I got to call someone, I call them up. Hey, it's Towman from so-and-so of a company, this is where I'm at, and then give them the rest of the details. I'm always good at specifying my name and the company I work for over the phone.
Yeah.
Right? Especially since they can't see me show up in the tow truck because I'm talking to them over the phone.
Absolutely. But
Right?
when you show up in person, that is where the, you know, the uniforms come in handy. Again, guys, not everyone can do it. If you can, take at least the levels to protect yourselves. That's all we're asking for. At least get the reflective on. So tired of seeing these videos on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you find your content of guys, you know what I mean, running shoes, jeans. It's even better when they're beating the snot out of each other on the side of the highway. I haven't seen one of those in a while. That's good. But at the same time, you know, it always adds a little bit of professionalism when you can at least wear some reflective clothing, at least look. Dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. What I mean by that in this case, dress for what we want towing to be, not for what it currently is. That being said, G, we've got some interesting news coming out of Detroit for our American listeners.
So this is what you want the towing industry to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not what it is.
Like this next part is what you want it to be.
Well, yes and no. So I'm going to read a quick snippet from an article. We'll post up the link in the description for the video as well. It is news out of Detroit. It's about a week old or so at this time. It'll be a couple weeks by the time you guys hear it, but it is ongoing. I know we don't tend to cover a lot of American news. We are both Canadian. We record out of Canada. When we come across a story like this, it is great to, you know, bring the information out there. So, Detroit's new tow laws. This was reported by Detroit WXYZ. I'm guessing that's the media site. WXYZ sounds like a radio station, a local news station. They just took the last 4 letters of the alphabet and said, that's our name. So it says, there are some changes coming if your car is towed in the city of Detroit. Jermaine Smith can't wait for the new tow laws to go into effect. Quoted as saying, it's been a really rough day for me, he says. His car was towed and now it's costing him to get it out of the yard. Price you pay. It's almost cheaper to buy another car because the loops and hoops you have to go through, Smith adds. I like that, loops and hoops. The city of Detroit is trying to remove some of that stress with tow laws to protect against predatory towing. City Council voted unanimously on a towing ordinance. One of those key changes is payment options. All forms of payment must now be accepted. That is something that was recently brought into Ontario as well. I never thought much about it on why you would not accept credit card. Other than, most places just cash. That was the big thing, right? Even Ontario brought that out. It was cash only, and you need to now accept credit cards. I don't know if you have to accept checks in Ontario. I don't remember the last time we accepted a check other than from an account. But I don't think I would let a COD pay with a check anymore. Credit card, fine. Visa, debit, fine. Cash, great. I don't think checks are still a thing. And that's what the argument is that they're having, is they have to now accept all forms of payment, including checks. People stop payments on credit cards. People stop payments on checks. So it's best for us to accept the cash up front now, and we know we are paid, said Boyce Hardison, part of the Detroit Towing Association. That is a great point, right? People can put stop payments on cards, can put stop payments on checks. Garages are always worried about, tow companies are always worried about making sure they get paid. A deal the city is working to make with residents is the hardship waiver fee for tows. This is where I have a problem. City leaders say owners may have to bear the cost. Should the department find that there is a hardship, the company must waive the tow fees, and the inducement to do that is to have the contract, says Commander Michael Parrish. I am all for helping people out. We have talked about this 100 times on this show. But when I am being told that if the customer can deem or show or prove that they have some sort of hardship, that company is now expected to eat the price of that tow? Are they discounting it? Are they just, you eat it, that's it? Is there some sort of tax incentive to this? I don't know how the tax laws work in the States when it comes to that. But what do you mean I'm supposed to? This guy's having a hard day, so I've got to eat the cost of that tow. And it sounds like, to be on the contract and to get the calls from police, you have to agree to that. Well, the police are already telling you to tow it without guarantee of payment. And now it sounds like they're going to tell you that, even if we can get a hold of the owner, they come to pick it up and they show hardship, you have to eat that cost. What is happening in Detroit?
I know for us, where he said it's almost cheaper to buy a new car. There's a lot of vehicles out there that aren't worth the $700. Now that we have a 14-day for speeding, right? Like you're looking at probably under a $1,500 tow bill, depending on what companies you go with different set rates for different police contracts.
Agreed.
But a lot of people just like, $1,500, I can buy another car in Kijiji for that.
Yep.
Right? And they'll just go out and buy another car. But now the tow company can write that off as a loss, get that car that they've now impounded, switched into their name, scrap it, cut the cats out of it, whatever they want. Fix it up, get an ownership for it, and give it to their children if they so choose. And that's their way of covering the cost. With this, it kind of sounds like, okay, there is no tow bill, and you get your car back. Whether that's, I'm hoping that's what this is saying, or if they're, that's what it sounds like. Like they're just getting everything back scot-free and getting away with it. Now, there's got to be some sort of deal with this, is because if you get impounded for a DUI, driving while under the influence, there's no way you can prove proof of hardship and get that vehicle back, because part of your fine for getting caught drinking while driving is having to pay the impound fees or losing your vehicle.
Right, so you're saying you're hoping this doesn't apply to that kind of tow.
Yeah.
We're hoping this applies to maybe illegally parked vehicles.
Yeah.
That are being towed. They're still non-consensual tows, but yeah, no. If you can go out, get drunk, and drive your car and get it impounded, and then go, I don't have the money to pay the tow bill, and get away with that. Oh my God, we've gone too far.
We are seeing something like this in Ontario. I think we touched on it a couple of weeks back about how the OPP wants, if you tow a vehicle to a collision reporting center and they deem that it's drivable, you have to drop it there and not charge anything.
There was something about that.
One step further is it'll get back to your yard and now can accumulate storage fees. And now they say, no, sorry, there is nothing you can do. Someone told me this one day and it fucking clicked in my head, is on the side of the highway in an accident, you've got the police, fire, and ambulance there, and the tow truck operators. There's only one party there that might not get paid for the time that they're there for.
Yep.
That's the tow truck operators. And that's before you start throwing anything else into the mix. And now I know there's a lot of bad apples in this industry that have probably caused stuff like this. And just like anything, a couple of bad apples ruins it for everyone else. And that's how it works. And this is the consequences everyone has to deal with, and not just the bad apples.
I'd be curious to see what the process is, and we'll follow up with this story as it progresses. I'll keep checking in on it, because obviously this isn't, I can't see it's you just show up at the tow yard and go, yeah, I don't have any money, therefore you have to give me your car. I'm sure there's a panel, there's an application process to go through. What happens that whole time while it's sitting in the storage? Now that company is accruing more storage fees, but waiting for a resolution on this. If it's deemed that they're not having a hardship, do they now have to pay the extra storage while this is sorted out? Is it something they pay the bill and then, hey, if you want to pay the bill and then fight this to, the city council or whoever it is that's implementing this, and then they reimburse you for hardships, I'm in, right? Towing companies guaranteed payment, let the city deal with that. But to throw the onus on the companies, I'm going to be curious to how this works out. It is a very interesting topic. Right. It is, if you are listening or watching from the Detroit area and you have more insight into this story, feel free to send it to us. You can reach us by email at thetowinglife@gmail.com or head over to the website, towinglife.ca, hit the contact us section. We want to hear from you on this, because it sounds, and it doesn't sound like it's a done deal. It sounds like it's something they're implementing, but it sounds like it's a dangerous precedent to be out there. I'd like to know what the requirements are to, consider hardship, and I'd like to know what the association's doing to compensate the towing companies for this, because a lot of people seem to forget, although we are there to help the people, similar to we talked about the police, the fire, the paramedics, when it comes to accident scenes, we are a profit business. We are a for-profit business. So you say that, oh, well, they're having a hardship, therefore you can't charge them, affects the profits. And we are not running on, government funded money. Companies rely on profits to expand, to grow, to continue to provide new equipment, everything like that.
Even
if you start cutting into
that,
just to survive, especially in the world we're in now. Again, a few bad apples that probably overcharged the hell out of some vehicles or didn't release it is what has brought this forward. Most of the problems in the industry are brought to you by the industry. Rotators and cranes, that whole long debate that's been going on in the industry for years. Guess who brought that on to themselves? The towing industry. You guys picked a fight and lost, or are losing, or could possibly, in the long run, lose. But, so problems like this, I think, and the need for the city to bring out these kind of programs is because there has been some negative stories throughout the years that have, obviously led to.
Now, I really, really hope this is only pertaining to parking enforcement, because as it sits right now, I know with the company I'm with now, there was a boat abandoned last year. Boat on a trailer with no rims, no tires on the trailer, no motor on the boat. And it's just been sitting at my yard for the last year. Is the owner, can we even get in contact with the owner? No, we can't. There's no information on it at all. And we're just going to have to eat the cost to get that cut up and send to a dump. Because that's just what happens. We get stuck with that kind of stuff all the time. And with a boat and a trailer, there's even less opportunity to recoup any of your cost as you would with a scrap car. Now, what if that guy just comes up and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I blew a tire on my trailer. I have no money to pay you. Can I get my boat back?" Well, for one, we would say, sure, take your fucking boat. We don't want it. But if it was anything else, well, we paid a driver to go out there. We had someone dispatch the call. We stored it, indoor or outdoor, doesn't matter, for this many days. Or you parking, you leave, let's say you left your car to go out ice fishing and your car's blocking someone's driveway. And they can't get in and out.
We've seen that before.
We've seen that before all the time. No, you're saying since you did the bad thing in the first place, your car got towed and you just got to find a way to come pick it up. There's no charges on it. Someone had to come and do that service. Someone had to spend their time with their equipment that costs money with their insurance, and you're getting that for free.
Yep.
Who's paying? Someone has to pay for this, whether that be the city, the government, whatever. Someone needs to reimburse the tow company if they're going to put in a writing that the customer or the owner of said vehicle doesn't have to pay in the first place.
Well, this is the
There has to
long
be.
played game that's been going on of who pays the tow truck, right? Like you said, you talked about it with the, everyone, an accident happens, police show up, fire department shows up, paramedics show up, roads department shows up. Guess what? All of them are getting paid. Tow truck shows up. Tow truck ain't guaranteed. Even if he's called. Even if he is called to the scene. I don't just mean showing up. I mean called to the scene. Guess who's not guaranteed payment? The tow truck. And this sounds like it's, leading to that same kind of argument. Who's paying the tow truck? We need to provide a service. We do provide a service by the definition of a service. And we are not guaranteed payment on it. And sometimes you don't even know who the thing is, we don't even know who to bill. Right? You get on scene, guys left in an ambulance. Police ask you to remove the vehicle. I don't have, at times, a name, an insurance company. I have an asset to hold on to. But depending on what that vehicle is, it's not much of an asset. Who pays the towing companies? So, again, if you are living in the Detroit area and you know a little bit more about this and you want to share even your personal stories on it, maybe you have some insight to, stuff that led to this, by all means, send it over to us. If you are somebody, going back to the accepting all payments, if you have had a credit card payment stopped on you, I'm sure there's somebody listening or watching that has had that happen. If you've had that, let us know about it. How'd you deal with it? What was the end result? That's what I'm really interested in. How'd you deal with it, and what was the final result? Because
or anyone from the Detroit Towing Association mentioned in this article, reach out to us. Give us more information.
Absolutely. We would love to share the story on it. If you've had your credit card, stopped on you and you've not received payment for it, or you had to fight for it, let us know. I'm curious to that. I want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you did to resolve it, so that hopefully a big thing that we see in this industry, not where I was planning on going with this topic, but a big thing that we see in this industry is that we all have these similar problems. There's probably 10 companies that have, listening, that have had the same problem where a credit card wasn't paid, or they put a stop payment on it and they found a way to resolve it, but nobody tells them how or why, right? Let's hear from you so we can get it out and try and hopefully help somebody else out in the future.
We don't want bad things to continue to spiral through this industry. If we can put a stop to one bad thing that's happening to people out there, help us do that.
Give some information out. You don't have to name your company again. Some people like to keep private. They don't want everyone to know what their business is or how they've solved things, right? That's what we have associations for, the Detroit Towing Association. We have the Ontario Towing Association. Part of those benefit of being part of those associations is you get some extra information. Disadvantage of not being part of that association is you don't get any of the basic information at times. That's another subject for another time. But yeah, let's, if we can all you can share your advice and wisdom to somebody else who may be encountering it, right? Hopefully we can maybe put together some list of these things on the website that you can find resources to help other towers. That's the end of the day. We're here to tell you stories. We're here to talk about problems facing the industry, good things facing the industry, and if we can also be here to help raise awareness or give you resources to solve some problems you have, we're all for it. Yeah.
And we also have the ability to say, fuck. I'm a happy guy.
I'm just here so I can say fuck. Seriously, when I was looking for a co-host, I went to G and I was like, would you like to be on a podcast? He goes, can I say fuck? And I said yes. And he goes, okay, I'll be your co-host.
Yeah. True story. That actually happened.
Will I get fired for it?
Yes, you can. Perfect.
So, G, I got a question for you. Have a little fun. We talked about this, again, seriousness. I hate getting into all the serious stuff, but there's so many serious issues facing the industry. Here's a question, and every guy will have it, and I want to hear yours. Comment on the video below. Send us, visit the website, the Facebook page, whatever. I want to know. I want to put a general consensus together. Let's see the answer to this question. What is the vehicle that you tow the most?
See, I absolutely hate this question. And that is because normally you're towing someone and they're in the back seat or in the passenger seat and they're like, I'm looking at a new vehicle. What's the vehicle you tow most so I can steer clear of it? And for me and you and anyone listening, we probably have completely different answers because you might only have a Chevrolet dealership in your town, so most people go there. Or you live up north and most people drive pickup trucks. Or you live down in the city and most people drive compact cars. It's never going to be the same thing. To be honest with you, I tow a lot of F-150s and I tow a lot of Nissan Rogues. And with that also being said, I'm a wrecker driver, so I'm not going to get all the flatbed calls that people who drive a flatbed all the time will say that they tow, right? They're going to tow more of your Subarus, your WRXs, because those people always request a bed anyways. But we do tow a lot of those as well. And it really depends on region and also economy level of where you're towing too. You'll get a lot more high-end cars in different areas and a lot more low-end cars in different areas as well.
So stop beating around the goddamn bush and just tell me what vehicle you tow the most. I
tow a lot of Ford F-150s and Chev pickup trucks and the occasional Dodge as well. But I tow a lot of 2008 new Ford F-150s. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, which is weird because that's probably one of the least ones that I'm seeing is the F-150s.
And I tow a lot of Nissan Rogues.
And let me guess, push button starts.
All push.
Always seems to be the push button starts with the Nissans.
Yeah.
Stay away from the push button start Nissans. Nissan does not endorse this commercial.
And I towed the same Nissan NV250 now to the same dealership for a cat being cut out of it twice. Twice. He got it back 3 days later. Someone else cut the cat out of it and stole it. I was like, oh my.
I'm starting to think at that point you start to wonder if he's cutting his own.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's got to be cutting his own.
He works for the government. It's an Ontario van.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The government is cutting out their own cats to pay for our COVID spending. PlainGuy's hot takes.
Well, who's got to pay to put them back in? The government.
Double dipping. Either that or it's the garage and they just keep reinstalling the same one. They just keep getting paid to put a new one on. Genius. It's genius. They order a new one, put his old one back on. No, for myself, it always seems to be Dodge Caravans. Dodge Caravans are the most towed vehicle that I get. And I don't think it's a fair representation for Dodge. I'm not gonna, I'm not a Dodge hater. I'm kind of a Dodge hater. Caravans are the easiest vehicle to unlock, but I also find them to be the most towed. But that being said, in our area, and I think Ontario as a whole, I'd like to see the actual numbers on this. The Dodge Caravan, everybody and their brother has one. And I think that's what really leads to it, is that there's just so many, right? They were the number one sold minivan for,
20 years.
I can't remember how many years. And they, so there's just so many of them out there. And they're not exactly, they're like the Cobalts of back when. You remember when everything you were towing was a Cobalt? Right? Or Cavaliers? It goes in waves like this. It's whatever the most popular car at the time. Cobalt was one of the most popular cars out there. We were towing Cobalts left, right, and center. Caravans.
Now you don't see as many of them on the road because most of them ended up in scrapyards.
That is fair. Caravans is the same thing. Right? They went through their phase that they were the most sold vehicle, and that was probably, 5 years ago. And now we're starting to see, because now they're starting to get into that breakdown period. Now they're starting to get towed all the time. Now we're seeing them more and more. For myself, it is the Dodge Caravan, hands down. Nothing against them. They shouldn't shy away from, don't shy away from them because of this recommendation. But, and I always tell my customers that, it's not, don't ask me what the most towed vehicle is so you can stay away from it. It's the least towed vehicle. Least towed vehicle that I ever touch, I have to say, is Toyotas. The brand as a whole, right? I tow less Toyotas than I do Mercedes. Right? And the cars that I am towing, it's those old 97 Corollas, which at this point are, God, how many years old? And they're going to need a tow at one point. But how many new Camrys have you towed?
They have towed a new Camry.
How many new Corollas have you towed? I towed one of those new Corolla hatchback version there, the 2021s, and it's because it was in an accident. But that's and we do Toyota roadside. right? So it's not like we don't, it's just because you only have roadside, let's say GM or whatever it is.
The hybrid Toyotas are the only ones I seem to tow.
Priuses or whatever hybrids, because they have a hybrid now for every model pretty
like
well.
a hybrid Camry. I've towed quite a few hybrid Camrys.
Yes, I don't remember the last time I towed a Camry, and I'm pretty sure the last Camry I did tow was like a 97. And so that's where I think it's more important to see, right? But again, less Toyotas on the road in my area, at least, that I see, that I notice, than Dodge Caravans.
It's like I had a customer a couple of weeks back wanting to know if they should buy a Tesla. And I was straight up to her. I was like, the amount that we have, we tow a fair few of them. Yeah. Like the amount that are actually in the area, we tow a fair few of them.
Do you remember impounding that Tesla?
I did.
So G and I,
the doors to open.
Yeah. So G and by G and I mean G's the one that towed it in on dollies.
Yeah.
And I think
the guy got caught doing 50 some over, passing a semi while talking on his phone with 400 or 500 kilometers on the car.
It was brand new. It was brand new. We couldn't figure out how to lock the doors.
No, the key was in it. And I
always had the car. It wasn't a key. It was a little toy car.
Yeah, it was the little car key thing. It was sitting on the driver's seat, and the door handles were inside the car because you need the key to make the door handles pop out.
We finally got into it. We figured it out. We got the key out, and then we couldn't figure out how to lock it until we eventually gave up and said, screw it. It can stay in the compound unlocked. And when we walked away from the car, it armed the alarm because we had the little car with it. We had spent 20 minutes trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it was great. And that was before I even knew there was like a tow mode or tire jack mode to lift up the suspension. And Buddy, who just got arrested, he had no clue either because it was a brand new car to him.
Oh man, yeah, towing that thing in on dollies, and I don't know if a customer, how they want flatbeds for everything. You did it. It was damage free. It was everything, but. And then it was, I remember that day. I met you at the yard for that one and was just looking at it like, how do we do this? How do we do this? And we're like playing with the computer, how do we shut it off? Is it on? Is it off? No Tesla training. Teslas were still fairly new at that point. And oh man, yeah, that's
a topic for another day that I've got the inside scoop on.
Ooh, Tesla training?
Kind of, sort of, something like that.
All right, well, that's good to know. That is good to know. So when you're looking for vehicles, guys, let's hear yours. Comment on the YouTube video. Send us through the contact form at towinglife.ca. Email us directly at thetowinglife@gmail.com. Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. Any of those places, let's hear it. I want to hear what your most towed vehicle is. I want to hear what your less towed vehicle is. I can tell you my least towed vehicle, though, is a Lamborghini. I've never towed a Lamborghini.
No, me neither.
Yeah, there'll be guys out there that'll tell you, oh, I've towed some Lamborghinis. I haven't, so to me, that is technically my least towed vehicle.
But how often do you see a Lamborghini driving down your home strip?
Since I've moved to where I am now, I don't think I've ever seen one in this area.
Case in point.
But it's the numbers that count, and the numbers say I've never towed one.
Fair enough.
Anything else you want to get to? Anything else, G, you want to get to before we send these wonderful people packing and get those towers back on the road so they can do their jobs? Get back to work, you bums. What are you doing listening to us?
Well, I hope as long as you're not listening on the YouTube side, you can listen to us while you're driving down the road. So get going on that call anyways. If you are on YouTube, you can always put that phone of yours like right where the Speedo is. Only when you're driving to Mexico, though. Only when you're driving to Mexico. I would not recommend watching a video while you're driving at all. I'm saying you can do it. The phone sits there pretty good, but I'm saying don't do it.
Can I fire you just based on ideology? Is that allowed?
Well, you asked me if there's anything else, and that was the thought that popped into my head, so I blame you.
Yeah, I blame me too. So, guys, don't forget, if you do have, like we talked about, any comments, concerns, questions, feel free. Hit us up at any of the links. You find them in the description of the video. You will find them on our Facebook. We link everywhere you can listen to the podcast through there. We have our weekend warriors. A special thanks to Baker Heavy Towing out of Cambridge once again. Cornwall Towing out of Cornwall. Beyond that, G, why don't you take us out?
Yeah, if you own a company and you want your name up in lights, feel free to hit us up as well. We can offer lots of different things that way.
Absolutely.
But for any of you else out there listening, thank you for being here. It means a lot to us. And I hope we can see you next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Bye-bye.